Oh, it's a little late now, but I should have brought my mic out so you don't have the echo. Guess we're gonna have to do a voiceover. Oops. Okay. I will talk in case this isn't that echoey, and it isn't that bad. But if it is that bad, we'll just do a voiceover. Okay, so I've got Stheno, we'll say Euryale and Medusa. I have her up here as my reference. Well, let's get started. So the first thing you do is you're gonna take your doll head and you're gonna do what your parents never told you you could do as a child. Cut her hair. This is why I didn't brush their hair and left it just a massive matted chaos mess. And actually undid, like one of them had a bunch of hair elastics, but I undid them all. It's time to get cutting. Okay. Where should we start? Just yep. So we're gonna cut off all her hair, all of it, preferably as just all of it. And if you can get really low, that would, I think, if I remember correctly, be beneficial. But I will just, cut all this and bring it back. Release the inner childhood trauma. It's okay to cut your doll's hair. You're not gonna get in trouble. Now that I have trimmed their hairs off, removed the zip ties and stickers on the bottom, now comes the scary part, in my opinion. Ooh. Okay. Oh, I got hair in my mouth. Yuck. Yuck. Oh. Oh, I got doll hair in my mouth. Okay, now that we've cut the girl's hair down to as low as we feel comfortable cutting, I probably could have gone lower, but whatever. You're going to now mark where you want the planter on top of the head. And yes, you'll want to do the top of the head and not, ooh, that was loud again, the crown of the head. I did the crown of the head the first time I did this and kind of real quickly learned why they don't do the crown of the head. Planter doesn't sit flat and even, and then you kind of have all the weight back here and the head falls over a lot. It's just not a smart idea. Do the top of the head. Learn from my past mistakes like I did. Do the top of the head. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to want the planter that you're going to put inside the head. Hopefully it's not longer than the head and it's not wider than the head you're using. And you're going to flip it upside down. Try to get as centered as you can on the head. Stay at that 2 3/4. Be center and be like, yep, I think this is it. This is where having shorter hair is helpful because you can mark and see easily where you marked. And hopefully you don't move the planter like I just did. And hopefully you can't hear that airplane flying overhead. Ooh, learn how to follow. Trace, Raymond, trace. Okay. So you can't really see very well, but I promise it's there. I'm gonna go over it now that I have the planter off. Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but I do have a ring around her head. So when you go cut, you do not want to cut on that line. You'll want to cut inside that line. That way the planter has something to rest on. The rim of the planter has the plastic to rest on. And it's easier to cut a smaller hole and make it bigger enough for the planter to fit in than cutting too big of a hole and then the planter falling right through. So, cut a smaller hole. Anyway, now we're gonna do that again with the other sister here. We're gonna put the planter on top of her head. Make sure it's centered right and left. See ya. Now's the time you'll want to get out your Dremel or a saw, get parent supervision. This is where I should have a parent supervision. Safety gear. I know I should have a better mask. Oh, my nose is working. I know I should have a better mask, but this is what I have for now. And safety glasses. Once again, mine are dirty, but they'll do. And like I said before, you're gonna take your Dremel. I have it on the, what is this bit called? Oh, my husband's gonna kill me for not knowing this. It's the bit where you do the angle grinder. It's like an angle grinder bit. I have it on the angle grinder bit. That's what I'm gonna call it. And like I said, I'm gonna just slowly cut. I'm gonna cut in just inside that little circle, and I'm gonna slowly push down and just cut along the edge. And hopefully you'll be able to see this while I'm doing this. Okay, and I'm sorry for the sound. Actually, you won't hear it. I will, but you will. I will, but you won't. That's what I mean. Okay, something I forgot. How could I forget that? Whew. Is when you bust inside the head and you actually get all the way through, there's like a horrible smell in here, which is funny because they actually have a hole on the bottom that goes all the way up. That one does. But oh my gosh, the inside, the gas inside this head smells really bad and you shouldn't breathe it in. But I did, and I'm gonna get listen. So, do this outside in a well-ventilated area. I'm in a garage. I actually have the door open on the side of the garage and the fan's going. now I have performed my first brain operation of the day. So once again, this is why you want the hair shorter so it doesn't get caught up in your saw, your Dremel. And yes, I do know she has a bunch of gunked up plastic. I'll work on cleaning that up. But right now, I just want to test and see if the planter fits. It does not, so now I can go closer to the edge. So I've cut this one. I made a huge full-on right there. Bad mistake. I don't even feel like her head is even. Oh well. I made a big mistake right there, cut. Wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. But we put the planter in. And this one actually still doesn't quite fit, so I'm gonna actually cut in a little bit in the green, which kind of is helpful because I made a mistake over there, so I can cut that out. But I'm gonna probably just, should I do that? I'm gonna probably just sand this, cut this down a little teeny tiny bit so that planter can fit. I've changed my mind. I think sanding will be a smarter idea. I think if I sand it just enough, because it's pretty close, I think if I sand it, it'll be close enough to get the planter to fit. So now I'm gonna change bits on my Dremel and put the sander bit on. So in the past, what I've done is I've always just gotten the pliers and grabbed the hair from the inside and pulled it out. So you can kind of see where the hair is on the inside with these little stitch marks, weird little things. So I always just grab them with tweezers in the past. Pliers, not tweezers. If I can even figure out how to do this. So you yank them out like so. But I think I just figured out an easier way. There was a little nubbin on the inside of this backside of the head here. And I thought if I stuck my hand in, it was gonna like cut me because it was kind of sharp looking. So I cut it with the sander and I kind of pulled out a chunk of her hair already out here in the back. So I'm gonna try doing this with the sander and see if it goes faster. Because if it goes faster, that's gonna knock over. But if it goes faster, that makes everybody's life easier. It's not pretty on the inside, but that totally worked. Ooh. Maybe don't do that. Because I am getting hair all bound up on my Dremel. Yeah, so don't do it with your Dremel because you get a bunch of hair gunked up and bind up on your Dremel, and I don't want you guys breaking your Dremel. So back to pliers. Back to yanking all this hair out with pliers. Yay, so much fun. So I guess I'll bring you guys back in a couple hours once I'm done yanking out all this hair. So it has now been a full weekend, and I spent the whole weekend removing the hair from the girls' heads. No, it didn't take me like the whole weekend, but it did take me a couple hours with each head. So last time, this is where I stopped and just started spray painting. But I want to do things differently. So last time I just spray painted, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see this up close, but all the little hair follicles, the little hair spots, and even like the ring here in the back and this, whatever this is, on this hole, or you can see all of them. You can see all the little dots where all the hairs come in and out. And I want to change that this time. I don't want that this time around. I thought these holes were small enough that when I spray paint, it was going to hide them, but it did not. So this time around, I went to Harbor Freight and got some epoxy quick set glue, or resin, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm just gonna make a small batch of that and hopefully get a nice thin coat that covers up all the holes. Hopefully. That's the game plan. Oh, I should have put some rubber gloves on. Okay, we're gonna call that mixed. Sure, it's been a minute. And now I'm just going to hopefully do a nice, beautiful coat on this girl's head. I'm only gonna do one because I've never done this before and I wanna make sure it's gonna look nice. Okay, I'm kind of like smearing this on and then kind of like scraping to make sure it's a thin coat and hopefully get like all the holes. It reminds me of like frosting a cake slash mudding a wall where you're like, okay, I've got it everywhere. Now scrape to make sure it's got a nice, beautiful, thin coat. So I guess we're gonna let her dry, the epoxy dry, over the next 24 or 48 hours. I definitely don't think I wanna do the other head because I don't like the way this turned out. Which kind of sucks, but whatever. We'll see how it looks with the spray paint and see if it's really that bad or if I like the holes better. The holes aren't that bad, they're just, the plant kind of distracts you from most of it, but I don't like the way this looks. So, at least right now, I don't like the way this looks. So yeah, I'm gonna wait 24, 48 hours for this epoxy to completely harden. And I'll bring you back for spray painting. Okay, so I got my grubby pants on. I've got my hoodie on because it's kind of cold here in the garage. Hopefully it's not too echoey for you guys. I have epoxied her head. It has been several weeks now. And to tell you the truth, I am not liking the epoxy. It didn't stay in the holes very well. It's kind of patchy. Even though when I originally put it on, it wasn't patchy, it was pretty smooth. As it dried, it kind of went patchy. Over here, I have a piece of grass flake stuck in the epoxy. So I'm gonna spray paint this one first, see if I like the epoxy. If I don't, then I'm just gonna go straight ahead to spray painting. If I do like the epoxy, then I'm going to epoxy her head and then spray paint her head another day. But to tell you the truth, I really have zero hopes for the epoxy, which kind of sucks because I really don't care for the dots on her head, but I can live with it. I'm also going to be spray painting this one and updating her because her eyelashes I play with too much and now they've lost their spray paint, so I do want to update that. The spray paint I will be using is this Fusion All-in-One paint and primer, and I will be using the soapstone. So that is what I'll be using, is this Fusion All-in-One primer and the soapstone. I have tried granite and I don't really like the granite. I like the soapstone the best. So soapstone it is. I really feel like it gives it that gray dark granite look. Even though the granite doesn't give a granite look, I feel like the soapstone gives a better granite look. So, also I am the worst spray painter in the history of spray painters. So please don't judge me. Please don't be harsh to me in the comments. I know I suck at spray painting. I know it's because I don't have strong enough fingers to control how much spray comes out at one time. So I do need to work on my finger strength because this button is hard to push. So anyway, I'm gonna do up my hair and spray paint these two ladies first. So, and I have a rubber glove so that I don't get spray paint on my hands, because that's another problem I have. I get spray paint on my hands. I put my finger too far out because that's the only way I'm gonna have strength to push the button down. I know, I'm the worst spray painter. Anyway, I'll see you in a second. So as you can see, I have finished the girls up here. I have Medusa. She is, let's bring her down. There we go. Okay. So this one is Medusa, and I know she's Medusa because this plant right here is called a Medusa plant, which is why I wanted to build these in the first place many years ago. Is how can you have a Medusa plant without a Medusa head planter? So this is Medusa, and then Euryale and Stheno. Actually, I guess this would be Stheno, Euryale, one or the other. Those are Medusa's sisters. I just thought I would let you get to know. This is Medusa. We'll go Stheno and Euryale. Euryale's hair might actually change. My dream plant to put in there is a string of hearts. But I already had that planter filled with the string of tears, so that's what's in Euryale right now. Stheno was the original one. She's the one I made many years ago. And as you can tell right now, or during the little reveal, that she actually is a little different looking than the other two. And I'm assuming when I don't know when it happened. Either when I first made her back when I lived on the West Coast and she was sitting in the windowsill, or when we moved across country, or the first couple of months when we lived across country and she was once again sitting in a south-facing windowsill, she melted. Sometime in that time frame, I'm assuming she melted. So let me bring her down. So she melted, and the head weight kind of pushed down right here in the chest, so where her neck and her chest is, and you can kind of see there's a divot right there. So that's where she melted. I'm not sure when it happened, but I'm actually not disappointed by it. It gives her more of a unique character, and also kind of like makes her not so stiff and regal. She looks more natural and everything. So I actually kind of like it. Kind of hope the other ones eventually, either due to weight or melting, turn into this, because I think it's kind of cool. I did not fix the dots on her head. I don't really care to, but we did fix her eyelashes, and her eyelashes are now granite looking again. The other girls. Medusa is the one that I put the resin on top of all the dots. And I personally don't like that. You can see where I put the resin and the dots still end up showing up. The little hair follicles still end up showing up with the spray paint. And now I have lines where the resins are at and the hair follicle dots. I mean, I will admit the hair follicle dots are not as prominent or noticeable as with the other two girls. But now you have the lines with the resin, and I can see where the resin dribbled, whereas I couldn't see that before, but now I can due to spray painting over the top of the resin. Stheno's, I do feel like Stheno, when I spray painted her, you know, this new time around, I did put an extra coat on the hair follicles on the dots on her head, and they are less noticeable, so maybe that's a thing that I should have done, or something I should do in the future, is just heavy coat many layers of spray paint over the hair follicles or dots on their head. I didn't do it with Euryale, but so her hair dots are a little more noticeable out of all three. It is something that does drive me a bit crazy, but it is something I know I can, whoopsie. It is something that is noticeable, and it is something that does drive me a bit crazy, but it is something I can live with. And to be honest, most of the hair slash the plant covers it up anyway, unless it's Medusa. So I might swap those girls out because I don't know if I can handle the resin on Medusa. I don't know. But yeah, so I am for the most part happy with it. I'm glad to see that the sisters are all there, and it's cute to have multiples of them. I do kind of wish they all looked a little more different besides just the plants that are in them. I might do something down the road to make them more unique. Kind of like Stheno is more head facing a little differently, so I might change something up on all of them to make them all a little more characteristically different besides just their hair. But I do like them, and I do think it's cute, and I do love having all the sisters together. So yeah. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and all that fun jazz. It really does help out the channel. And I will see you in the next video. And happy 6 months to Halloween! We're halfway there! But anyway, happy 6 months to Halloween! See you next time! Oh, it's so cold! The ground is cold! Oh my gosh, the ground is cold! Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I want to use this again. Okay, well, oh, now I just stuck my hand in it. Fudge.